So if we have an understanding of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When my marital position or my readiness is there, will my spouse not appear? Will that not happen?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Will that not happen? Do I need to go to a buffet? You know, and again, it speaks to the greed of the 21st century.
Yeah.
I want to have all the options in front of me. So, you know, what frustrates me if I go to Canal or if I go to, okay, it's, you know, sometimes when I'm like on other platforms that assigns to certain, you know, terms and conditions, rules, you know, we're not abiding by what this producer or presenter is saying. But, you know, you can't mention certain names, so it's just feel liberating. I can say any company name. It's a free platform. So if I go and I want to go to Canal and it's like, yo, Imtiaz, what do you want to order? I'm like, don't have list for Japanese, don't have list for this, don't have list for that, don't have list for that. And it's like all the options. I'm just like, am I even hungrier? Because if I'm hungry, I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
You
True,
see it,
true.
people on the road, they eat crumbs on the floor, breadcrumbs. But I'm not hungry. So I go to the buffet and you have 10, 15 ladies, women that wants to get married that's in front of you. And do I really want to get married? Because out of all the 15 of them, they are coming with the purpose of getting married. Okay, not all of them are going to want to marry me. Out of the 15, will one of them show interest?
Yeah.
So it's the understanding of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When I am ready, but again, man, what is your belief, man? You know. So I just question all of it. I will be very biased in responding to the person because it's my profession of coaching.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just find it very interesting that if somebody will feel, listen here, I know what I need to know. I just need to find someone.
Yeah.
I just have this belief that if you are truly ready, the Lord above will put it in your path if you're ready.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%. I'm like with you. Especially when you say that when the student is ready, the teacher will be there.
Yeah.
What?
Or when
Be
the
the
husband,
first time.
or when the
But, yeah,
fiance is ready, the fiancé will.
No, you're right.
You know, when the employee,
You
put it in any context.
No, I made this example also that as Muslims, this is the context of our faith. Also, if you believe it, if you understand the system of Allah, and the need first has to arise before the means are provided. You know, the means have to be arrive before the needs need to be. What did I say?
You said it right the first time.
My
Get a retake.
second.
I see that.
It's off today. Like I can't say, I can't do that.
When
So I
the
said,
needs arrive,
Alright,
the means
the
will
means
present.
provide. So the thing that is the point. Like I see this for those that can probably relate to, even with children. You alhamdulillah, he's out there struggling, trying to bring home the bag, so as they say. But things are not going your way, but somehow alhamdulillah, whenever we have, for myself, 4 children every time I have a child, somehow things happen almost miraculously. Speak to people that went for Hajj. Many of them will tell you the story afterwards that I don't even know how I got that money. Hopefully I didn't steal it. But I don't know. I don't know how I got that money. I don't know how it happened. I made my niyyah and then it came. Speak to people in the tabligh, they'll tell you, we just, that's a big project of the tabligh is just make the intention. Doesn't matter what the circumstances is. Doesn't matter where you are financially, whatever. Just make the niyyah. And so when you create a reason, and what my point is, what I'm saying, when you create a reason for Allah to give you something, that's when Allah will give it to you.
And that's been Abdul Basis will know. Every program, that's been the message, when the create a reason strong enough for the Almighty to like, I don't want to say be compelled to give to you, but it's
Definitely.
but it's like it's reason enough to allow this person to prosper.
Yeah, 100%. The intention is very important, especially.
Why did you bring that
with
client story in? It just got us hyped on
No,
that
I think
conversation.
it
it's
just
good.
came to mind
It's
as we were
good, man. We were
talking
supposed
about
to talk
this
about it a long
topic.
time already.
Because I'm actually like trying to figure out, how we can try to bring the message stronger across on the evening to them,
Yeah.
and how we can take a different approach. I mean, obviously, through all these mindset we had, there was always one approach and sometimes a new approach, and trying to understand the clientele and to try to understand what it is that they actually want. So you obviously do the work, on the night. Myself, the Akir, we supervise, we try to understand
The ulama, the female
you know,
coach.
yes, like we're reading the audience, you know, we're reading them and trying to understand when they're having this discussion, what is it that they're looking for exactly. And obviously, we provide them with some guidelines of discussions and so forth, and prepare them and explain to them what to do, the process. But is it only that they're looking for characteristics within someone, like beauty? Once again, like we went to our previous discussion, is it only beauty? Is it lineage? Is it profession? You know, must she be of certain profession? A doctor, a lawyer, whatever, you know, a banker. Must she have a certain title? So obviously, everyone has their own, you know, criteria that they want to look at. I mean, this is
Or
something.
the best
that,
criteria ever.
what's the best
The
criteria?
best, the vibe. She must have a vibe.
Yeah, that
must
was
be.
a nice one, eh? That was one of the things that
Is
came
there a
up.
vibe? Yeah.
It's like, what do you
Am I
mean by a
feeling it?
vibe? Like, are you coming to just to vibe here and go home, you know? But I think one of the challenges is also like, when they do get married, so some of the participants that joins, right, they're studying,
Yeah.
right? And the potential spouse that they might be interested is working,
Yeah.
you know? So then that would be a no for them, for example, because I'm studying and you're working, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, how does that like become a issue? Should it be issue? You know, if I look at
Yeah.
like event, like you were saying, that the intention is there, and you really want to pursue this journey with the person, none of that should matter. You know?
Basit, you were asked the question one evening. I'm going to ask you now, right? A female comes forward and says, listen here, I'm working. I have my... Same conversation. I'm working. I have my car. What does your screening process have to do with you matching me up with someone that is not as established as I am?
That's a very good one. I remember that
Do you remember?
conversation. I remember that conversation. So that was also like a debate amongst the groups. You remember
Wow.
that?
Yes.
It was a debate. Because
And I find that interesting.
it was a debate amongst the ladies, because some ladies differed from the others, and it was one age group, and they said no, but I don't really. I'm not bothered by the fact that if you have a car or doesn't have a car. But no, I want to car. How must I get around? You must be independent.
How's
I need
that?
to go to the shop. I need to have a... I said, no, but I can take a taxi. No, why would I want to take a taxi? And you know, I can call my mother.
Interesting.
It
Very
was like a
interesting.
very interesting debate there.
Because you know why it's interesting? Because we have this blanket view on females or on males. Hey, they just want this or they just want that. But here you saw 40s plus debating among each other. One group saying, no, he doesn't have to bring anything else.
Oh.
Look, it might just be that they are very naive and innocently
Or not-
unaware of
Or
how they will be
over
affected.
experienced. Where they had a whole life of going through the... Now they're at the point where they did everything themselves for 10 odd years,
Yeah.
being single. Now they're like, I just want someone to be there at home when I
Yeah,
come.
but contradictingly enough, it was that side that was saying they want these males to bring
values.
the... But
The material values.
from what I understand is that from the other side, those who maybe never got married the second or the third time actually said, no, but that's not important to me. But, those that maybe got married again, that
Yeah, yeah.
with someone, they went through the ropes of having
yeah.
experienced. Well, I mean, I know there was some deceptive stories, like you hear very interesting things.
Yeah.
And I feel that what the beauty of the initiative, where I come in, I'm still on the fence of a lot of things,
Yeah.
with regard to halal speed dating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of my challenges of people that are close to me, right? But what I find very interesting is that the kind of conversations, and not even, I'm going to put conversation on one side, it gives you very good insight on where the condition is of our Muslim community in Cape Town.
Yeah. Like, for those who don't know, right? This program became a space where people can share freely their experiences, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it was the initial goal, and obviously something that we wanted to target is for people to share the experience so others can learn from it. You find those who are single can learn from those who were married before,
Yeah.
or vice versa, And this is the conversations we would have a session where we have a discussion or topic, and people would give their opinions, and they would share their experiences, and so that we can learn from each other. You know, so I love the fact to understand that there's sometimes individuals that would just sit there quietly in the program, very quiet, maybe experienced, maybe not experienced, but then they would just say something like, you know, but it doesn't really matter if he has nothing. I'll still marry him if he has good character and have good religious values. The material things don't matter to me.
Yeah.
Then there's others were like, oh no, but how can you not have a car? How do you expect to get there? And if you have no job, who's going to sustain your family? And then there the heat starts, and people, which it's all valid points, but respect the one who's, you know, calm and quiet and humble and modest, that she's prepared to take the journey of someone who has nothing. So the question I ask, are you prepared to marry someone that has nothing, but he has the good character and has the religious aspect of it?
Are you done?
Yeah, go for it.
No, go on.
Go for it, go for
You
it.
spark something now.
Go for it, go for it.
Listen to this. I'm gonna give this to both of you now. Right? 2 nights ago, I'm reading to my children. Everybody like to think, hey, what Ustadi portrayals is this guy trying to do? But this wallahi, this happened 2 nights ago. Now I was reading the Sirah to Nabi. You saw did you see the book that I have there at home? It's
No,
beautiful bedtime. You can get it doing promotions now, eh? You can get it there at load. It's Sirah to Nabi from birth until the end of his, you know,
Life.
yeah, the end of his life, right? So, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, I told you once about the story when he did a business trip for Sayyidina Khadija, right? And then Nafisa, I can't remember the name of her supervisor that went with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Sayyidina Khadija said that when he took the trip and did the business trip for her, and then she said, I've never made more gains and earnings and profits than I have ever in the business, because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the expedition right out. When they came back, it's like she's, you know, the females talking to each other, and
Yeah.
you know, why don't you marry him?
Yeah.
Why don't you marry him? You know what I mean? So then it's, look, in terms of authenticity, this is what the book was talking about, right? Anybody else can take the research further. So then the Nafisa radiallahu anha goes to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and says, you know, will you get married? Will you consider getting married? And then his response was, I don't like. Wait, what was it now again? Something particular point I wanted to make. My response was that I like do not have like anything like going, you know. And then right at that moment, my daughter asked me, "But Daddy, why do you need money to get married?
Why do you need money to get married?
Why
did that come in her mind?
Because the response from the book was saying that his response was that but I don't have
He doesn't have the
anything.
means.
Yeah,
Financially.
financially, right? So then she said, but why? And then I sat there and I'm thinking, how do I respond to a 9-year-old? Then I thought to myself, I need to think about that question first. So now I ask you, how would you have responded if your children ask you, but Daddy, why do you need money to get married? What would you say?
I like how,
Yeah.
I don't know if you did this intentionally, but you actually brought the subject to where the discussion to exactly where we're supposed to be discussing, and that subject of money being money being a hurdle for the decision of marriage.
The reality is, I mean, the
I feel like
reality
you're gonna
is,
give us like the
the reality is,
statement.
the reality is we need money for everything. Reality.
Yeah,
Right?
truthfully, yeah.
You need money to sustain a marriage. You need money to
To
sustain
sustain a
the
marriage.
family.
To sustain a house.
Yeah,
sustain
a
a car.
household, a family, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? However, I think that when it comes to the value of money, right, that cannot be, you know, distinguished in terms of the value that you bring into the marriage with yourself.
So it can't stand in place. You still need to bring something additional to that.
Course.
It's not just of I'm giving money. So
Yes.
which what a lot of husbands is like, you know, when the I mean, we probably all had that experience, you know, first year, second year, third year
Yeah.
marriage. You don't, I mean, you know, you don't, I mean, why not romantic? Why don't you say that you love me? Why don't you
Yeah,
spend
yeah.
more time? And it's like, my entire day is based off me bringing funds into the
Funds.
house to make the thing functional. So that is my,
My form of love.
that's my form of love.
Yeah.
That's how I'm expressing love.
Yeah.
But in what you're saying, that is the answer. Now, like imagine having that conversation prior to getting married. That listen here, your love, like as the man, understand this. Your
Yeah.
love does not, it cannot be replaced by the fact that you are just bringing in enough money to
Yeah.
get the house function. Like if you had the conversation, that's what you tell your son before he gets married. What do you tell your daughter before she gets married? Right?
What the hell?
Take all his money.
No. So it's because you can't tell the son that. And what are you gonna tell the
No, of
wife
course.
that this
No,
person
then-
married to?
then-
What will you say?
then that I would say,
Yes.
how would you, of course, raise your daughter,
Yeah.
is to be able to see the nuances of how a man gives love.
Okay,
You know, and exactly.
Good start.
We start. I mean,
10 out
see,
of 10 so far. Good start.
this was discussed, like a lot of stuff online. You find about this
Okay.
videos about
Tell
they're
us.
talking about how men display love, how women display love,
Okay.
how men expect love, how women expect love. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's for funny enough, and Andrew Tate said that. What is that? I was like thinking of the person. Like, Alhamdulillah is Muslim now, so
Can
he's,
you lower that laugh when you do that?
he's Muslim now, so we must
Laugh
stand
in
with
the-
him
in the mic.
100%. So anyway, he mentioned that, how the I think you said the dichotomy of that conversation is that we expect as women, we expect that your partner portrays the same love you would portray, and vice versa, man.
Yeah.
Which whereas it's not, man. And if you start recognizing that the person I'm with, whoever, not just your partner, your children, even, that my child, or I have two eldest daughters, one operates in a certain characteristic, other one does in a different one. So you have to show value. What's funny is, I'll make this example. I'll make this example to understand what I'm saying about the context. I'll make this example about the way Allah tests us, man. For example, we find two individuals. One is a billionaire. This is a fictional example. One's a billionaire and one's a pauper. All right, he's a poor person. Or let's say middle class. The middle class is more poor than the poor nowadays. But so what happens is that person, the billionaire, loses $1 million deal, R1 million deal, whatever. And the poor person loses, or let's make the example, the rich person steals R1 million, and the poor person steals a 10 rand. In the eyes of Allah, what is there a level of sin between that two actions? Whereas for outside it will be like, no, 1 million is much more. So that deserves much more punishment. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in the eyes of Allah, it's not about that number. It's about how it responds. My
Okay.
brother always made the example. He says like when you give, maybe this is a lesson now for us. When you give car guards and things like that, he says that's not sadaqah, man. Sadaqah is when you feel it. You must feel it. You don't feel a 1 rand and a 2 rand or 5 rand. You must give him 50 rand and you feel it. Then it's sadaqah. So my point is that in certain aspects, man, it has to be felt, man. And that example I gave was like extended example, but a grand example. But what I'm saying is, you have two daughters like myself. Both give you a sense
The
of
number increased, okay?
yeah. But my two daughters, my eldest now, they one displays love in a certain way, or looks for affection in a certain way, and the other one does it in a different way.
Okay.
So it's for you as a parent to be able to distinguish, what's needed as a reaction to that action, and the same. And if you once you start doing that, start understanding how people. I'm not a person that is with when it comes to everybody's different and all that stuff, but I do understand that you have, it's part of our responsibility, social responsibility, that we understand the dynamics that we're working with, man. And if you have that's what I'm saying, it's you, and that's crazy enough. We get to the point is what the statement would be, that if you want to get married, and you're on the journey of marriage, you need to be on the journey of understanding how your partner functions and how that person displays affection.
So what did you tell your daughter? I must sit now what you'll
No,
tell
what,
your
exactly
son.
that's what I said now.
So what did you tell your daughter?
To be able to recognize and but look, I don't know who's a partner now. So what I'll do is I'll give her an idea of the general uh, points, bullet points of how men display affection, so that she can understand, and that's to do with their placement in society as breadwinners, etc., etc.,
Okay.
and providers and protectors. And then once she gets married, that's also another thing, that the conversation continues. That's a big problem we have. We don't continue the conversation when our children get married. They get married and they're gone. We want them out of the house. But the reality is, I told my wife, all my children are staying with me for as long as I'm alive. That's why we bought a farm, so they can live on a farm and they all stay with me, because I want to see how they're progressing with their partners, so that you can advise, and see, like, look, and acknowledge that your husband is doing that, and that's where the coaching comes in, and that's why it's so effective with the speed dating program. But does that answer your question?
Let me ask him to answer the question. Because seeing it, these both have daughters. I don't. Maybe.
So you don't have,
Was it revealed already?
Not yet. Coming up the next 2 weeks.
keep everybody
But
updated.
let
The
me
next podcast, we'll do the reveal.
let me say,
Gender
Gender
reveal
reveal
on the
podcast.
podcast.
Imtiaz,
Yeah.
would you let your daughter marry someone that does not have any money?
Yo, that's
Yeah.
who does not have any money.
Oh,
People
wow.
have something.
What I mean by
I
that,
wasn't prepared for that question. Yeah.
would you? The person is all pious.
I was getting ready to say yes.
He's maybe religious, right? He has a lot of family background. He's very equipped with religious.
I got
aspects.
married without having anything,
No,
but
that's
I
a
had,
lie.
but of my own,
Oh yeah,
of my own,
yeah.
right? But we both had families that were willing to come to the. So it's like a very different conversation, Yeah.
So families are allowed to. Are you saying families are allowed to support you?
No,
Would you?
What do you mean allowed? I wouldn't even say. I would say it's necessary. It's part of our construct, religiously, culturally. We must.
But I know families who don't like.
No, they-
don't like say you on your own. You want this. You want to get.
No,
you
they're
decide to
doing
get
it wrong.
married. Now
I have the
you
opinion
have
they're
to
doing
look
it
for your
wrong.
own marriage. Look after your own marriage.
If there's no purpose in it, I feel like they're doing it wrong. We need support. I think just made the example of how support is important in the aspect of coaching as a parent to your daughter or your son, when it comes to them just being married and raising children. All of that stuff. We go through it already. If you don't listen to our parents about to be listening to someone else on how to raise children, we're reading books.
So I watched some. You have it. You look like you had another question.
No,
there.
no.
You
Go
got
for
it
it.
ready? I just saw the way you gripped that mic.
It's called professionalism.
If you want to eat
I'm
someone.
So I watched something like it blew my mind. When you go into the YouTube rabbit hole.
Rabbit
My,
hole.
my brother-in-law always says, I was trapped in the rabbit hole for hours. Right? 2 nights ago, I was trapped in a rabbit hole. Right? And I came up. I came out. It's this program. It's called like a living like strict parenting, something like that, man.
Okay.
So they take children, very challenged behavioral, school refusal, ill-mannered, ill-disciplined, problematic children, and they place it in a strict parent home like for a few days. And to see the comparison between the two was fun. It was mind-blowing. And what I take from that is how you rear your child and what that has to do with how they are going to turn out. A lot of people will say you can't be blamed, to a certain degree of what's going to happen to your children when they reach their teens, when they come into their 20s.
Yeah.
But for this particular episode that I watched, there's a lot out there, right? Maybe we must attach one of the links to the link, right?
Yeah.
But it says, so there was these 2 children, for example, right? One of them smokes weed every single day, oversleeps, says it's a natural herb,
Yeah.
That whole argument. Another one doesn't want to go to school, says it's boring, swears in the house, doesn't want to do chores, got a car, blah, blah, blah. And they're 16, 15 years old, right? They take them out of that hole, out of that home, like willingly. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know what the arrangements were, but they were quite willingly leaving their home and going to the other home. But the other home is like, I don't know, I'm not sure what sect of Christianity they were from, but very countryside, Tennessee. And
Yeah.
they have like a little farm, and these 2 parents, man, with 2 daughters, the father and then the mother.
Mm.
And they went into this home, but this guy has like structure to everything, my brothers. Everything he has structure. Before we go sleep at night, we all sit in the lounge, we say grace and we give thanks, right? And we are giving like feedback and things to one another about our day, etc. We wake up the next morning early, right, when the rooster crows, and then we have a breakfast together, and then we do our chores for the day, and then we come back, and there's no bad chatting, there's no ill discipline, and now these children are coming into a household like this. You have just to see what happens for those 5 days. It's so out, like compared to his 2 daughters, how he reared them from childhood, and how the other 2 children they acted from day one. There was storms and fires and flames, but he was so firm, so consistent in the way that he did his things, right? So for example, she wants to storm out, she has sunglass at the table, she has a hangover, whatever, and she doesn't want to eat now, and she just starts swearing over the table, and she wants to get up and leave, but he does not allow her to leave. He says, you are out of control. It's my duty to get control. So you're not going to leave here until I establish a form of control. Another one, the son who oversleeps and swears and whatever the case may be, he gives him like chores to do for the entire day. And he gives all of these powerful things throughout the episode. And he says it's extremely important to follow through on a punishment or on a discipline thing that you mentioned to them. But for me, what was amazing now was to see how his daughters reacted to when all the flames went up, and they crying and they soft and they vulnerable. So it's like whatever you exposed, or your child was exposed to, that implicates what happens later on in their life. So the reason I'm mentioning this whole story, it's to determine what kind of influence your child rearing is going to have on your child's spouse that they're going to get married to one day, and how their marriage is going to turn out.
Send my child to boot camping.
That's what it sounded like. But just watch the episode. I would love us to actually have a conversation about that specifically. It more so deals with what hand do you have to play in what's going to happen in your child's marriage later in life.
Yeah. Look, guys, we have to wrap it up soon. But just to add on to that point, exactly what we mentioned by the beginning about the message to the parents in our communities that have daughters and sons that are interested in the journey of marriage, you know, that these are the subjects that we deal with as an organization, and this is the message we're trying to give over when we with our coaching, when we with our podcast, with our one-on-ones. It's not just about getting married, it's about, you know, the process of that, in which way we can, of course, find good solutions in spouses, and then good solution in children, and then just continue the positivity. And that's what's important, and that's also, again, what's important about this platform, and why we're speaking about, whether it's money, whether it's a little bit about Palestine, whether it's about you know, marriage, and whatever it is. And inshallah, we hope to keep this conversation going with more episodes to come, inshallah, and to discuss more. And if there's anybody that want us to speak about certain subjects in our community, remember that the podcast is dealing with frequently asked questions in the Cape Town, in the Western Cape communities, in our Cape Malay and colored communities, challenges and political challenges and whatever it is. How do we react? And then we're, of course, talking about the halal speed dating now. Please let us know. And shukran so much, guys. Shukran so much, 𝐿𝐻 and Abdul Basit, for spending your time with us. And, of course, the camera crew, Shahid and Malika, for handling everything behind the Mishka. I'm the worst with
Malika? Like it has something to tell you.
I'm the worst with names.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how to catch your names.
Thank our camera crew for doing this podcast for us.
No, we
Inspire
really
Creative,
appreciate it, Shahid.
Networks, and for the food that he's going to give us as well.
You guys so much.
Thanks everyone
Keep well.
for joining in, and we look forward to the next one.
I mean, all right.
Fi amanillah, we leave you in the trust.
Trust
In the trust of the Almighty.
of Allah. في أمان الله. Salam. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.